Justin, Podcast Friday, buddy. How are you?
We're going live from Bel Air Bluffs and Countryside. Woo!
The fans go live. So,
hey, man, good.
Good. Hey, tell me about that shirt. I think we talked about it a little bit, but
yes, my guys at Warrior to Warrior Foundation. I believe it's warrior-to-warrior.org. They do an awesome job with special operations guys, both active duty and veterans. It's definitely PTS oriented, but it's also career driven stuff. They do a lot of really hands-on work with a lot of active duty and veteran guys, and we are deeply involved with them. As somebody that, you know, Matt and I had on our podcast, Captain Tom Chavey, and then also Tom Russell as well. And then Susan, she was the one who spearheaded the whole project. But, you know, I just, each time we do a podcast, I want to try to mention something that's near and dear to our hearts, Matt and I's hearts. So that's why I wore this shirt, wear this shirt today. I wore a small business shirt last Friday. So I'm going to try to keep that theme going. What's the website? People want more information. Where they go? warrior-to-warrior.com. And it's the number 2 in between there. That's the .org. Let me see. I'm pulling it up. Yeah, it's warrior-2-warrior.org. Yeah, perfect. They can find out more. Of course, they can watch the podcast with Tom Chavey, right? And learn a lot about that. He talks about it. We actually did 2 podcasts with him, kind of a back-to-back type of thing. And the second one, he really got into that part of it. The first of it was more about his history and some of the guys that he spent a lot of time with. But right. So Warrior, the number 2 warrior.org, if anybody wants information, or they can just go to the podcast. So let's talk a little bit about tech today. So we promised we'd talk a little bit about it in the past couple of podcasts. So here we are. We're going to bring it to you right now on Brokers Open Podcast. So tech. Let's talk about video, right? So we mentioned this in the past a bunch of times. You know that relationships in video were becoming extremely important in what was going on with business, right? And you and I, just talked about Formula, that show Formula on Netflix, right? And so, we also discussed nitrous oxide. So I think that's what's kind of happened with COVID, right? So we were already moving towards the finish line with what was going on with video. We were already moving towards the finish line with the importance of relationships with people, and it becoming ultra important in the service-based industry. But this COVID thing just blasted it with some nitrous oxide like a Formula One racer, right? So if you aren't doing video out there, guys, if you're not, connecting with your people on a regular basis, and we're going to give you a tip in just a minute, right, Justin, of how to do a little bit more of that. But, if you're not using Videolicious as an example, if you're not using Vimeo as an example, those are things. If you're not FaceTiming people, right? Your friend's got an iPhone, put it in the database that they got an iPhone, and when you call them and talk to them and say, hey, can I FaceTime you? I just haven't seen you in a while, and see if you can FaceTime the person, right? So make sure that you're being connected on more than just sending a text to them, right? Yeah, totally. I mean, I know how daunting that could be, or I should say Matt and I both know how daunting that could be when somebody's like, yeah, you got to start using video, and you're very uncomfortable with that whole feeling. But all I can say is that really, and this is a growth moment for anybody involved. In order to really grow, you got to make yourself vulnerable. You got to step outside your comfort zone. This is definitely something that Matt and I stepped outside of our comfort zone. He's doing the Facebook Live stuff. I'm more Instagram stuff. And then obviously the podcast thing was definitely something that, we had no idea what we were doing, but right. We dove in head first and figured it out. And I encourage you to do the same. And if you screw up, post it. If you do something great, post it. It doesn't matter. Showing that you're a human being and showing that you're doing it for the right reasons is all that matters. You're never going to get a better free pass than you're getting right now. Yeah. This is the absolute perfect opportunity to just say, good point. Hey guys, I'm giving this a shot. It's really important for me to stay connected this way. I'm probably going to screw this up. Let me give it a shot. And if you do that over a 4 or 5 day period, this stuff is not hard to do. The going lives and the video stuff and all of that is not hard to do. Everybody's going to be really forgiving of you making mistakes right now. They're actually going to appreciate the fact that you're trying to connect with them in a more sincere way. And when you come out of the other side of it, when you come out of the other end of the tunnel, man, you're just going to be in better shape because of it. So make sure you're grabbing onto one of those things to do it. So the one I like the most is Zoom, right? And so, one of the cool things about Zoom is as soon as you get done, having a meeting with someone, if you've got your account set up that way, it just records it and it automatically gives you that recording, right? And so you and I were talking about, our real estate reviews and everything, and I kind of want to dig into this just a little bit, but we talked about doing real estate reviews maybe through Zoom, right?
What's a real estate review, Matt?
Yeah, so great question. So whenever someone is contemplating, any type of change happening in their life, right? One of the big considerations is, of course, their house. And so what a real estate review does is it gives them a chance along the way to understand where they're at with their house instead of there being a shock when they actually decide to do something, right? So like, let's say I've been in the same house for 4 years, 5 years, I'm going to move, I've got a job, I'm going somewhere else. And I don't need to be shocked at that point at what the value of my home is,
right?
Because that's going to make a difference in my job. So just to give you a quick example. Okay. So let's say I've been in a job 2 years. I bought a house 2 years ago. I paid too much for it, right? And so now my boss walks up to me and says, "Hey Matt, do you want to move to do you want to move to Colorado?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Colorado's great." And they're like, "Well, it's a pay raise." And you're like, "Oh, that's absolutely wonderful." And you have no idea that your house is at the same value or that it's underwater compared to what it was. That pay raise is not going to help the way that it looks like it's going to help immediately. So all of those things are why we do real estate reviews with our customers, so that when it comes time to make a decision, that asset, hopefully that asset, they have an idea along the way of how it's growing, of how it's moving, of what the impacts the market's having on it, on what COVID's doing to it, as an example. All of those things are going to make a difference with it. It's also, your taxes, paying attention to your taxes. If you're doing a real estate review for somebody, you're helping them understand what's going on with taxes. It helps them understand changes in flood insurance laws. It helps them change all of these other things that impact that asset that is such an important part of what they do. Just review it on a regular basis with them. Hopefully annually is how often you're doing that review with everybody and their, in your database.
So a thought that I get when talking about real estate reviews is that we as an industry make the mistake of trying to talk to people when they're ready to buy, sell, or invest in real estate.
Yep.
And I personally believe that is the wrong way to go about things. I know Matt feels the same way. So a real estate review is a lot better way for you to stay in touch with your clients and also gain your clientele on a relationship basis. I want real estate agents to stop thinking about real estate as transaction by transaction and lead by lead, and then switch it over to the way that a family practice doctor might look at their practice, right? So a family practice doctor is going to have their annual review checkups. They're going to be making sure that you're, in the health that you should be. And if you're not, these are the things that we need to do. We need to follow that same role. And it's more of like a financial planner or a financial advisor would be doing. Yep. They'd be sitting down with their portfolio in front of them. You can do that with people's houses. So instead of people going on Zillow and trying to guess what their house is like and then getting lost in the Zillow thing and then finding somebody who pays 20 grand a month to get a Zillow ad, what you can do is you can cut that off at the knees and just care. And you're doing real estate reviews. And Matt and I kind of had a cool idea on how to do real estate reviews that might be more comfortable for you and then also more comfortable for the person that you're doing it with. So yeah, I think it's going to be cool.
Yeah, so let's dig into that in just a second. So Justin, you made the doctor analogy is such a great analogy. So here's what we don't want to do. Okay, so it's great if you're sending market information out, right? So you're quarterly sending out your market analysis or whatever it is. All of that is fantastic. But that would be the same as the doctor just sending all of the people that are their patient their blood work chart, right? Here's your blood work chart. Here's your cholesterol chart. Good luck with that. I hope that works out for you. It's the same exact thing, right?
Yeah.
And so here's the worst part. The worst part is people get it and they think they understand what they're looking at. And the truth is, so many times they don't, right? They look at the most expensive house. And if you're an agent out there, and I know you've run into this, if you've got any experience at all, I know you've run into this. You walk into the front door and you start talking about price on a marketing or listing appointment. You start talking about price, and what does the seller do? They jump to that one property that there's the highest price, and they start talking about how that one should be the one that's the factor that makes all the difference and where you should get your price, right? That's like saying you're looking at one number on your blood work and going, I really like that number, so I must be healthy.
Yeah.
Same exact thing. Our job is to dissect all of those numbers and tell them what the true bill of health in this situation is. That's what the real estate review is for. Actually taking a real good look at the health of the market and how you relate with your property to the health of the market. There's a lot of things that there's a lot of things that make a big difference that you have to be able to explain to them in a way that makes it comfortable for them understanding their whole chart, right?
Right.
So, all right, so let's talk about so we know what a real estate review is. Now let's talk about using Zoom in order to do those real estate reviews, right? Or anyone, you could use Vimeo or whatever, but Zoom sets up a meeting. Zoom is kind of back and forth, right? Videolicious and Vimeo are sending the information out to them, and Zoom is a way for you to actually talk with them. Now you could record just yourself in the meeting with Zoom and send the market analysis out to the person. That would be similar to Vimeo or similar to Videolicious or some of the other programs that you could use. But what Justin and I are talking about here is actually having a conversation, just like Justin and I are having a conversation right now, having a conversation with your seller about reviewing the market. That's going to be very time effective. It's also going to help them be connected with you in a way that is not as good as face-to-face, because we know face-to-face would be better, but it's going to help them be more connected, because we think there's a better chance that they're going to be more willing to do the review like that, because they don't think that you're going to try to get them to sign a piece of paper over Zoom.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that if you're dealing with maybe younger generations, that this might be something more towards the future. So if you're dealing with millennials and younger, this is a great avenue to do it, because schedules, especially when we come out of this whole thing, schedules are going to be very compact because people are going to be extremely busy. People are going to be out and about doing things. I visualize like that time period being really tough, but
I agree.
I think you nailed it with the video into things. So what a good way to get in front of people. You could do listing appointments this way. If the client prefers it, I wouldn't suggest it as a preference for you, because you need to get in front of that person and things like that. But what an awesome way to do a real estate review, I think.
Yeah. And so the real estate review isn't really your chance to say, hey, do you want to sell your property right now? Right. And I think that that's what is being said by you using Zoom instead of saying, hey, I'd like to come and sit down and talk with you. What that's actually doing is, if you say, I'd like to sit down and review the numbers for you, there might be something in the back of their head that's like, oh, I really appreciate that. But you're having to get past the fact that they think that you're sitting there because maybe you want them to act right then while you're sitting there. I think if you're doing the Zoom stuff with them and you're basically saying, hey, I'm just reviewing everything that's going on in the market with all of my clients and all of my customers, and I would just want to take 10 minutes. We can talk by Zoom. I can review the numbers with you. It's a really fun way for us to interact. And then as soon as we hang up, I'm going to send you a copy of the recording in case I talk too fast in any of that. And I'll also send you a printed copy of that. Is that something that you and I can do, Justin, to just review what's going on in the market? Who's not going to love that?
Yeah.
They're going to absolutely freaking love it.
Yeah. And it feels a little bit easier too. It's a little bit less awkward for those of you like not totally comfortable with jumping outside the comfort zone. I think that this is a fantastic, happy medium. It's much better than just an email that you automate out to your client. I mean, I think that that's maybe the worst way to do a real estate review. It's very impersonal. The open rates on emails are terrible anyway. And it doesn't show the relationship side of the business. Anybody can send an automatic email. Anybody can text. And most people can call, right? And they are. But the best thing that you could do would be in person, but I definitely think the second best thing that you could do is this.
Yeah. So let's make this really actionable for everybody, Justin. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run through real quick a process of how they could implement this if they wanted to implement it. Okay. So first thing is they've got to have correct information in their database, got to have everybody's phone number, got to have everybody's, text and all that kind of stuff. Right. So they could use Vimeo, or they could use Videolicious, or whatever they want to use to make a quick recording on their phone that basically says, "Hey Justin, this is Matt with Purple Pineapple Real Estate. I just wanted to reach out to you, and I'm doing real estate reviews for all of the people that I know, and I'm actually doing it through a video format. That way you can go back and review it later. What I'd like to do is I'd like to set up a time for us to be able to do that so that I can review the market with you really quickly. How does Sunday at 2:00 sound?" And then you send that link or that video to them. As long as it's short, if it's under 10 seconds, it's going to pop up by text in anybody's phone. So literally now they get a text video from you that they can press on, and it talks to them, right? So you keep it short, you keep it sweet, you do that. Then you text them and follow up, or hopefully you get some kind of response back from them. And then all you have to do is, with your Zoom account, is you literally send them to that same text thread. You send them the Zoom account link. They click on it at 2:00 on Sunday or whatever time it is. They click on it, it opens up, and you hit the record button on, and you say, "Hey, I'm recording this really quickly. That way, you can look back at this later and everything. I wanted to go over the numbers with you really fast. I sent them to your email, but here's what we've got. Here's what's going on. Here's what's happening. Here's what's taxes implication. Here's what's insurance. Here's what's whatever." Yeah. You spend 20 minutes having that conversation with them. As soon as you get done having that conversation with them, you end the meeting with Zoom, and Zoom will download it directly to your computer if you want.
Yeah.
Or it'll keep it on the cloud if you want it to keep it on the cloud, and you can literally send that to the person right. If I was a seller and an agent did that, don't you think I would believe that they understand how to market my property the right way? Don't you think I would believe that they understand digital marketing, which is where a lot of the marketing happens these days? Don't you think I would believe that they understand that really well? You're saying so many things without having to say them.
Yeah.
Just because of how you're delivering that real estate review if you use Zoom to do it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think it's great. I mean, you couple that with handwritten notes, and I think you're a lethal weapon.
Oh yeah. Can't stop you, man.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I have nothing to add to that. I think you nailed it.
All right. So if people want to watch more Brokers Open podcasts, right? They got to they got to subscribe. They have to, they got to interact with us. We're all over Instagram, thanks to you. We're all over Facebook, thanks to me and you. So they can go to YouTube. They can click the bell and subscribe, and they'll get notified every time we post a new one. There's 1 to 2 a week that are coming out now, because we've got a lot going on these days. Just stay connected with us, like and share, right?
That's right, man. Like and share, and we appreciate you guys. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, all the aboves, and we appreciate you guys. Stay safe.
As always, stay safe in all of this, guys. Thanks.